So our series this month, our theme, as you just heard, is that you may prosper. And we've been having kind of an interesting and somewhat exciting time looking at how prosperity looks, understanding that what we expect is what we get, being free and clear about money or any other form of abundance, and recognizing that what we see is not always all there is. So today, we continue pulling together all these ideas and realizations by affirming, thank God I'm rich. I want to begin by telling a story that points out how we sometimes overlook how fortunate, how rich in so many ways we already are. And this story is titled, The Best Laid Plans. God and Mother Nature were having a conversation about some of the activities on planet Earth. And believe it or not, it wasn't about hurricanes or volcanic eruptions. God said, Mother Nature, you know all about growing things. What on earth is going on planet Earth? What happened to the dandelions, to the violets, to the thistle, and the stuff that we started with eons ago? We had a perfect, no-maintenance yard plan going on here, garden plan. Those kinds of plants will grow in any type of soil. They withstand drought. They multiply with abandon. The nectar from their long-lasting blossoms attracts butterflies, honeybees, flocks of songbirds. I expected to see a vast garden of colors by now. But all I see when I look out there are these green rectangles. Mother Nature said, well, it's these tribes called suburbanites who've started all these settlements. They started calling our flowers weeds, and they went to great extent to kill them and replace them with grass. Grass? But Mother Nature is so boring. It's not particularly colorful. It doesn't attract butterflies, birds, or bees, only grubs and worms. It's temperamental with temperature. Do these suburbanites really want all that grass growing there? Apparently so, she replied. They go to great pains to grow it and to keep it green. They fertilize it every spring, and they poison any other plant that crops up in their lawns. Well, said God, at least the spring rains and the warm weather make it grow really fast. That must make them happy. Afraid not, God. As soon as it grows a little, they cut it. Sometimes twice a week. They cut it? Well, do they at least bale it like hay? God asked, obviously taken aback by the direction this thing was going. Not exactly, God. Most of them rake it up and put it in bags. They bag it, God explained. Why? Is it a cash crop? Do they sell it? No, Mother Nature explained. Just the opposite. They pay to have it towed away. God thought for a minute, then recapped their discussion. Now, let me get that straight. They fertilize grass so it will grow. Then when it grows, they cut it off and pay to throw it away. After another moment's reflection, God continued, well, then they must be relieved in the summer when we cut back on the rain and turn up the heat. That surely slows the growth and saves them a lot of work. Mother Nature just sighed. She said, you're not going to believe this. When the grass stops growing so fast, they drag out hoses or turn on sprinklers. They pay money to water it. so they can continue to mow it and then pay more money to get rid of the clippings. After another long pause, God spoke once more. He said, well, at least they've kept some of the trees. Trees were a sheer stroke of genius, if I do say so myself. They grow leaves in the spring that provide beauty and shade in the summertime. Then in the autumn, those leaves fall to the ground and form a natural blanket to keep moisture in the soil. Plus, as they rot, the leaves form compost to enhance the soil. It's a natural circle of life. Oh boy, wait till you hear this, Mother Nature muttered. I guess you need to know that the suburbanites have drawn a new circle. As soon as the leaves fall, they rake them into piles and they have them hauled away. No. Then what they do is to protect the shrubs and the tree roots in the winter. And then what do? God asked. To protect the shrubs and the tree roots in the winter and to keep the soil nice and moist. Mother Nature winced this time, but she answered, well, after they throw away the leaves, they go out and buy something they call mulch. They haul it home. They spread it around in place of the leaves. To which God said, so where do they get the mulch? From the trees that have been cut down and ground up. God thought for a moment, and with a smile he said, I knew that someday humans would come up with a way to spend all the stuff they invented called money. And it looks like this may be it. So actually today I want to cap this series on abundance by talking about the ways we do utilize the marvelous creations that are around and within us. I'd like to point out how many opportunities there actually are for us to say, thank God I'm rich. And one of them is that lengthy story that shows you how we can get so caught in a circle of behavior that we don't stop to evaluate its value or lack thereof. Sometimes we just don't think. So let me ask you a question. Why would God create us in order to express itself more fully and then make that a limited opportunity? I'd like you to know from this moment forward that there are no limits preset on any of us. What there is a magnificent foundation upon which to build. So just take a moment, put your hand on your heart. Everybody know where that is? Good. Is it beating? If it's not, raise your hand. We'll call 911. When you woke up this morning, did you tell your heart to start beating? When you ate your cereal or your eggs or your toast or whatever you have for breakfast, did you tell it to turn itself into protein? To nourish your hair, your skin, your fingernails, the cells of your body? But at some level, a marvelous, supportive, loving intelligence within us, each one of us, did all of that, does all of that, and so much more. It causes us to breathe in and out. It causes us to feel with the touch of our hands, our feet, and with all the parts of our body. It causes us to see, to hear, to smell, to taste, to think, and to reason. How could anyone possibly believe all of that is by chance or by some random evolving of cells? These are all examples of the limitless mind behind and within all things. We may not see that actually unfolding, at least not at our current level of perception. But that doesn't negate its existence. It only identifies the current level of our own perception. When we begin to reach beyond our current level, then we're moving into new levels of potential. We call this faith. And embodying faith enables us to push forward, to experience our intellectual knowing that God is all there is, and drop any restraints that we may have created about or within ourselves. So this is exciting stuff. It's the meat and potatoes of our teaching, embodying the faith. It's the putting into motion, into action, the things that change our lives. It's the practical application of the principles of the science of mind, the principles of successful living. One of my friends, Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones, and some of you may know him if you've been to a Silmar in the past or have read some of his books, of which there are many now. But he's the retired minister of the Simi Valley Center for Spiritual Living in the northwestern part of the Los Angeles basin as you're headed toward Ventura, Camarillo, up the California coast. And when he would announce his upcoming Science of Mind classes, he would ask the congregation, "Will Science of Mind classes change your life?" And as heads nodded and people responded yes, he would bellow, "No! The classes won't change you, but they'll give you the tools to change your own life. The rest is up to you, to me, to acknowledge how rich we already are in our lives and what possible additional richness is available to us, what greater possibilities are available when we decide to pursue them. I'm sure you've heard it said before, an attitude of gratitude is the cornerstone of a prosperity consciousness. This is a concept that we must not underestimate. For many people, there is the tendency to show gratitude only after something manifests. That's not unlike the idea of taking whatever you can get, whatever comes your way. But gratitude, true gratitude, is an attitude that primes the pump, that opens the valve, that creates the opportunity for what is intended to show up. So you don't have to respond out loud, but just answer this question to yourself. Do you have a gratitude list? How often do you say, "Thank you, God, for those things that I talked about earlier in the talk"? Your heart beating, your lungs breathing, your eyes seeing, your ears hearing, your mouth tasting. See where I'm going with this? These things are already manifest in your life. You want wealth, you want vibrant health, you want love and kindness in your life. Add them to your gratitude list because they are already in existence. Acknowledging them simply enables them to appear. In the science of mind, we call the appearance of that which we intend a demonstration or a manifestation. Listen to the definition of the word demonstration as described by Dr. Ernest Holmes. Through the mental and spiritual activity of thought, directed toward a definite end, we bring about a greater good, a more abundant life, a better condition than existed before. This is called demonstration. We can demonstrate at the level of our ability to know. The demonstration, and he's referring to, or the treatment that he talks about, he's referring to spiritual mind treatment there, or prayer treatment, is what is not for the purpose of making something happen, but to provide an avenue within ourselves through which things can happen. So you see, it's all about what is within us, first to recognize, then to accept, and then to utilize. So spiritual demonstration is actually manifestation of a reality which already exists. You're not creating it, you're directing it. God creates. We direct within our own lives, through our own lives, from our own lives, that which we intend and accept for ourselves. Holmes says we can only demonstrate at the level of our ability to demonstrate. That means embodying the faith that God really is an omnipotent or all-powerful creative force. That means embodying the faith that God really is an omniscient or all-knowing mind. That means embodying the faith that God really is omnipresent or everywhere, equally present all the time. As we come into these realizations, we can open and be receptive to accepting the expressions of this creative intelligence into our lives. Dr. Holmes says the treatment is not for the purpose of making something happen. That means that if we can only accept that which we can accomplish ourselves, we are indeed leading a limited life. On the other hand, it also means that we don't have to settle for only that which we can accomplish ourselves. Embodying the faith means accepting that which is beyond our ordinary mind and accepting it into our life as a gift from God, just as we've already accepted the gifts we already have. So embodying the faith means aligning ourselves with the universal force, which is an endless fountain of abundant ideas, conditions, and materials. So this morning, I have 6 prosperity secrets to share with you. These are some little how-to tips that are good to have as reminders on your prosperity pathway. And don't worry if you can't write fast enough. It'll be on YouTube soon enough that you can still pick them up. First of all, avoid delaying your demonstration of prosperity because you are holding in mind the idea of receiving your good tomorrow or sometime in the future. God only works in the now. Living in the future puts your prosperity always one day away. Here's number 2. Prosperity in the physical world is an outpicturing of a prosperity consciousness. So we work from within ourselves. The higher your consciousness of prosperity, the higher your prosperity. Number 3, gratitude and thanksgiving are vital ingredients in developing a prosperity consciousness. Nothing opens the heart or the door to the storehouse as quickly as a thankful heart. Number 4, spend your time each day thinking about what you intend rather than what you don't want or what you don't currently have. Replace any ideas of lack with those of abundance. Number 5, keep your money and other forms of your prosperity circulating. If you hoard them for a rainy day, you may have to spend them on an ark. And number 6, keep your spiritual work on prosperity to yourself, other than sharing with those who are also on a spiritual path. Allow the power building up in you to stay connected with your source of life. Well, we've had an abundance of ways and ideas that we can use to prime our prosperity pump this month. It's vital now to remember that your consciousness is like a container. The universe is always pouring itself into this container. If you choose to receive more of the good that the universe is pouring into your life, you need to get a bigger container. Your consciousness, your spiritual awareness. Grow it, expand it, experiment with it. This may mean expanding your beliefs and the concepts you have about yourself. It does mean expanding your attitude of gratitude. Like the little boy who saw the pile of fertilizer dumped on his driveway said, you all know, there must be a pony in there somewhere. So begin each day in gratitude. Begin each day with gratitude. In all things, give thanks, because someplace in everything there is a positive aspect. You are rich in infinite substance. So stay open to that flow. Open to the flow of good. Take time to recognize the value and the potential in everything that comes your way. And affirm each day, abundance is mine. Thank God I'm rich. And so it is.